Good afternoon, everyone. I understand we're good, although we maybe don't have a camera is the last bit of information I heard. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We are in the presence of our clerk and deputy clerk and our other staff. And we do have quorum in that we have 4 members of council here. And so I'll call this meeting to order at 1:03 p.m. on November the 12th. The first order of business is our land acknowledgement statement. The Township of Hamilton is situated within the traditional territory of the Mississauga, Anishinaabe, and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Our work on these lands respectively acknowledges their resilience and their long-lasting contributions to the area now known as the Township of Hamilton. Item 3 on our agenda. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest today? Seeing none, that shall be recorded. Item 4, confirmation of our agenda. Prepared motion that the committee of the whole agenda from November 12th, 2024 be approved. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Mark, seconded by Larry. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving quickly to item 5, delegations, which the majority of our audience is here for. Our first presentation is by Robert Pellern, Camborne Public School, regarding our 2025 community grant presentation. Robert, would you please come forward? And we'll just get a nod from one of our staff members that the microphone is on. And we're getting that. So please, it seems as though you're not alone today, Robert.
No, we are here in the present.
I don't have any names. You'll have to introduce. No, you'll either have to you'll have to introduce yourselves, or Robert will have to do that for us.
As Camborne Public School is the school of the community, we represent the community. So I'm very pleased to have with me Lisa Transley, who is the president of our school council, as well as Rebecca Crinley, who is the secretary of our school council. So being the new principal at Camborne and not having all the history of the request, they are best suited to present this project to you. So without further ado, I'd like to Lisa to become.
Thank you, Robert. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting us to present to our project to you today. My name is Lisa Tansley. I have had the honor of being school council chair for Camborne Public School for the 2nd year now. Camborne Public School is a small school with approximately 200 children aged 4 to 12 with 135 families. I've had the honor of being a school chair for 2 years now, and I have to say that Camborne is a school with a lot of heart. The motto for our school is most of all we care. Camborne Public School serves as a pertinent community hub in our growing neighborhood. Our boundaries fall within the Township of Hamilton borders and include Precious Corners, Camborne, and Cold Springs. I'm now going to turn the presentation over to Rebecca, who will go over the project scope and the community benefits.
Hi, good afternoon. As mentioned, my name is Rebecca Crinley. I'm the secretary of the Parent Council at Camborne Public School, and I live in Precious Corners. So at Parent Council, our main focus is on fundraising throughout the school year to raise funds for activities that positively benefit the students. And our goal is to support a variety of interests, including dance, music, sports, many activities in order to make Camborne an even more special place to go to school. We aim to try and disperse the funds in the year that we fundraise them for. As a result, the combination of sort of that, along with us being a smaller school, makes it hard to save for large funding projects that are multi-year, like a big ticket item. So during COVID, we did find that we had a little surplus because we couldn't use all the money that we had because of the limitations. And when discussing what to do with those funds, many of the parents in the community came and advocated to revitalize the baseball diamonds that have become, and as a result, that's become sort of a longer term fundraising goal for us at Camborne and our Parent Council. So every year we carry a little bit over in order to add to that pot. But then we heard about the community grant program, and we were so excited about the idea of being able to partner with you, the township, to undertake this project a little sooner than we could on our own. So currently, the baseball diamonds at Cameron Public School are highly overgrown with weeds. The benches and the fencing is deteriorating a bit, and you can't really tell where the infield begins and the outfield starts. This project would revitalize those diamonds. It would include the removal of the weeds in the infield, stripping off the top 3 layers and adding new limestone. We know that outdoor play is an important part of your mandate and aligns with section 2.4 of the Township of Hamilton's Parks and Rec plan. Because this project hasn't fully gone through the RFP process with the board, we actively engaged with a local contractor to begin to understand how much that project would cost. He has worked with KPR and other projects in the past, so he kind of has an idea. He estimated the cost would be approximately $12,000 to undertake for both diamonds. There was consideration to just do one diamond, but due to economies of scale, he felt like it was a lost opportunity. If everyone's there, if the crew is there, if the materials are being purchased, we're going through the RFP process, it just makes sense to do both of them. Therefore, we're hoping to complete both. So you can kind of see on the picture the current state of the fields. The timing is sort of a site visit soon, winter RFP and vendor choice, and then on-site work commencing this summer and completion this summer by August 2025. So really, there's been an explosion of baseball and the interest of that post-COVID in this area. The area continues to grow with new young families coming to Camborne and Camborne Public School. Despite the current conditions, if you drive by, you can regularly see that students and families are there using the diamonds anyway. I live in Precious Corners, and while we can't walk or bike there, which is a big benefit to the local community, we do drive and we meet families there and play ball a lot there this summer. Students at Camborne also regularly use the field. They bring foam bats and baseball or tennis balls in order to make it safe at recess. There's also a lot of soccer baseball that occurs there during the school day with the teachers. I went to Camborne Public School, and I have very vivid memories of a lot of soccer baseball with Mr. Timlin. There's a 3-pitch team that practices their tournament there every year, and the annual grade 6 versus teachers baseball 3-pitch game is watched by all the students every year. We know that there's so many positive benefits of sport. It increases physical activity, it reduces the risk of stress, obesity, heart disease, and many other societal benefits, like allowing people to socialize and develop meaningful connections and friendships. The game of baseball also develops mental focus, hand-to-eye coordination, persistence, resilience in the face of challenges, and encourages healthy competition, developing sportsmanship and teamwork. We know that so many students and families in the area appreciate that they can walk there and they bike to the diamonds. So we know Camborne Public School is a central hub within the community, and the sports fields are pretty unique in terms of the opportunity to drive local outdoor gatherings and recreational activities. Therefore, the revitalization of the baseball fields aligns so well with the Township of Hamilton's strategic priority of community by encouraging social connections and creating a sense of belonging amongst the local families, as well as the students of Camborne Public School. Thank you for your opportunity. We can answer any questions.
I hate to say it, but it's got to be 50, 55 years ago since I was there. Oh, gosh. But anyways, just clarity here. How much are we looking for? How much do you have saved and gathered and so forth? And how much are you
So we
asking
had a
for?
surplus of approximately $5,000 that we have saved towards this project. We estimated the $12,000 with the local contractor. That sort of gives us a little bit of wiggle room to partner in case there are overages when we go to RFP process. That way we know that we can complete the project together.
And I'll just make as much as for me, as much as I'd love to support this and give you all the money you're asking for, we're in a real tight budget restraint this year. I mean, it's a tough one. The policing have come in very, very high.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're not going to have a lot. So, I mean, if any, I'll be honest,
Yeah.
in my opinion, anyway, I mean, the rest of the council can speak, but I think it's gonna be a tough year to donate to the schools and so forth. Can I ask another question? Just based on how you go about going through the school board and asking for funds that way, is there avenues to do that or not?
Mr. Pelham could probably speak to that better, but I can say that parent council is responsible for all playground associated
they?
costs. So that makes it really challenging for us as a parent council because we only raise, a small amount
But they
per year.
won't, like you've mentioned, all the benefits, are you not able to present to them with those?
Solely on the school council.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What an unfortunate thing, because I mean,
It is too
they're
bad.
taxing the ratepayer just like we are, and I mean, it'd be nice to have one ratepayer. The ratepayers pay through one pocket to the school board, so.
Yeah, unfortunately,
unfortunate.
it all sits with us. So that's including like playground equipment too,
Mm-hmm.
which is really out of reach, but this is slightly more in reach.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for considering.
But can I be just a devil's advocate here for a minute? Just to follow what Mark was saying. When the school board says that you're responsible for the playground and the area like that. I know from past experience with other schools. Once the children are off the playground at Friday night at 5 o'clock, the gates are locked and nobody has access to the playgrounds after that. But you say that the public will, use them and grow with them. Is that gonna be the same process here at the school, if the gates are locked at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock on Friday night and nobody has access to the playground because of liability issues?
It's our, right now, the playground is not locked. So the community currently uses the playground after hours. And whether or not that's an established liability agreement with the township and the school, I am unaware, but it is currently not locked in. Many families use it after hours.
Sorry, maybe Robert can answer this question. I know he's from Plainville School and Plainville was one I was referring to. The gates are locked and nobody has access to the playground because of liability reasons. My understanding.
Yeah, gates are no longer locked. I was at Plainville 5 years prior to coming to Camborne, and the gates were not locked after school hours.
Well,
But you are absolutely right. It is a liability thing.
thank you.
Great presentation. Have you approached any of the federal government, provincial governments for grants?
We haven't, many of the grants that are available are outside the jurisdiction of the board. So because the property is owned by the board, we can't, most of them, if you look at the eligibility, eligible is school boards or academic institutions.
Okay, if you were to create you've got the parent, it was called the parent teacher board or the,
Yeah, parent
Parent
council.
council.
maybe if you could incorporate somehow, you might be able to approach for some grants.
That would
sort of-
probably be a board request. It's
Yeah,
sort of
you'd have
like
to-
built into how the board.
It would have to be specific to the playgrounds, it wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
specific to the education side.
Right.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
But, oh, that's too bad. It's a quandary, isn't it? Yes,
It is.
yes. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Before we go any further, I should disclose myself. When I set Mark up as a former graduate of Camborne, I have to acknowledge, so am I. And I have to add to that, I'm also a former student of the old Camborne School, and I may not be the only one in the room that can say that, but I am one of those few that's can state it at this point in time. Just so that everyone in the room knows, this is the committee of the whole, and there are no actual council decisions today. We simply hear presentations and then we move those presentations forward to regular council or budget process for consideration. So our motion today simply is that the presentation by Camborne Public School representatives on November 12th, 2024 regarding the 2025 grant funding request be received for information. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Larry, seconded by John. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Item 5.2 on our agenda is the presentation regarding the Harwood Memorial Park. and Recreation Club regarding community grant again. And we have Jay Chatton with us this afternoon. Jay, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Board of Directors and our many volunteers, thanks for having us here today to review our grant request for 2025. And Mark, thanks for clarifying the fact it's going to be a tough one. I think every budget year probably is or can be. I know this one's a tough one as well. But anyway, we're here with a request. So the why to what we're doing here, the grant proposal will provide the Harwood Hall Recreation Club with funding to install a new concrete pad around the community well. The community well sits out front, as you know, is well used. It is widely and vastly used, but not only the township, but probably the community, county as well. And I would say at its peak, it's probably sees anywhere between 40 to 50 patrons an hour. I mean, it really rolls. Slower days may be, there may be 5 or 6 an hour. And that's at 7 o'clock at night. I've been there late at night and they're still coming to collect water. So with this request, the park will recognize the fact that what we want to do is a twofold. I'm going to jump around a bit, but this year is our 100th anniversary of celebration for having the deed transferred from a personal individual to the town or the people of Harwood. So we're celebrating 100 years this year of the park property as it is. And with that, we've also aligned ourselves with an OTF grant for accessibility off the main door, off the parking lot. This project would align those two together, those three together, and give us a more eye-pleasing upgrade for the hall entrance, cost savings opportunities as they relate to we're tagging work together. Some of the OTF, the contractors doing the OTF work would be the one we get to do this work as well. So we could save some money and cost. It would lower our liability risks. As you can see, when we get to the pictures, the concrete is quite in despair, trip hazards, and we'd like to reduce that liability for our risk and insurance. The new appeal will be ready for the 100th anniversary that we're planning on July 19th, 2025. The membership community would enjoy a concrete pad that is free of tripping and falling. It is quite a concern of ours. As you can see on the photos, this repair is really based on the fact that when it was done many years ago, there was not enough concrete poured. It was only 2 inches. It wasn't reinforced. Our new plan is to be thicker and reinforced. The water in the wintertime does get out and around, and it does and can freeze, breaks up the concrete, gets ourselves in a little bit of trouble. The new pad will also conform and align with the concrete from the new accessibility ramp that's coming in on the side door. So how that ties in is the next slide, where you can see that the overall accessibility features. We're talking about phase 1 that we're pointing to on the map. This is a pictorial graph or picture of what we were looking for in the future, where the existing hall, the new entrance is going to be with the OTF, and the proposed upgrade for the community well in the access for the community as it lines to Front Street. The cost that we have for this right now is targeted at $7,500. We have a confirmed quote. That quote is from the same contractor that we're going to use for the accessibility ramp work. So I think they gave us a bit of a break. I think normally this would be 10 to 12,000. So we've done our due diligence in trying to save ourselves money too, Mark, because we do budgets too every year and have to balance them and so forth. So again, this would be in line with the installation to save us some money, and the total grant request today is $7,500. Any questions?
Council members? Larry?
Thanks for your presentation, Jay. It's excellent. I'm glad to see that you're going to be fixing up the area around the well. It's been dangerous for years and always been a concern. And so you haven't submitted a budget or a financial oversight. Do you have some funds set aside in the reserve?
Yes, we do have fund reserved for basically our reserve fund, as it would be in township terms, is really being held back for a new bathroom addition, which is a
Okay.
very, very large financial impact of close to $200,000, of which we do have a really sizable piece of it. And that's what we're saying to that. When we go to accessibility grants this year in 2025 to get that money for the bathrooms, we want to make sure that we've got a good piece, because as you know, when you go to federal provincial, if you don't have a little bit of the pie to put into the big piece, you'll have less chance of getting it 100%, right?
Okay, so this fund's gonna be going, if you get this grant, this would go directly to the renovations of the.
Absolutely,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely, 100%.
And just so everybody knows, the OTF is the Ontario Trillium Foundation, so. And so this, you've applied to OTF or the Ontario Trillium Foundation for the accessibility ramp success?
Right,
So-
so it's a new accessibility ramp on the south side parking lots entrance, which will give us a ramp and a railed entrance to code, a new automatic door entranceway as well. So it'll have the palm buttons so that we can have, a lot of our patrons are elderly. We do have even an autistic child in the area that has a special chair. These will all go to aid and help us get more people into our hall.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Mark,
Just a couple quick comments. So one is congratulations on your 100 years. I mean, that's
Thanks,
quite,
Mark.
quite a thing.
It is quite a thing.
Absolutely. When you pour around where the water is going to be coming out, is that going to change? Like, is that design changing? So you mentioned about it maybe icing up and so forth and causing cracks. Is that design going to help or change that?
It'll
somewhat?
clean it. We'll clean it up. Essentially, it's just a pump head that we're doing. We'd have to, for the construction, we'd have to shut down and
Oh,
divert
okay.
the water around to make sure that we get a nice clean patch for sure.
But for winter time, is
For,
there?
yeah,
stop the
the winter
icing?
time is the contractor is looking at a sealing mechanism like it would be around like a road culvert to try to stop that. I don't think we're ever going to get away from it, but we're going to, design through it with reinforced and thicker concrete. Like I said, I think it was like 2 inches. It was very thin. We're looking to go 5 with reinforced. So
That should help.
it would help. Whether it's going to fix everything, I'm not quite sure
Yeah.
about it.
I was just more concerned about the slipperiness and.
Oh,
from the
absolutely.
dripping.
Yeah, like they'll rake the concrete so it's walkable and safe and so forth. Yeah.
Great.
We're just spending more time on trying to figure out a design of it more than anything.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
any follow-up for Jay? Jay, just because I think I should, I'm sure your contractor will know. But the change from 2 inches of concrete to 5 or 6 inches of concrete, adding rebar is certainly a nice improvement. But the critical component is the base and the drainage below.
Right.
5 inches of concrete.
Built in with a basic 4-foot base. We'll make sure that happens. We'll be talking to Tim about permits. So we'll certainly get his input and certainly appreciate yours, Mayor. Thank you.
The area that I was thinking of when I was saying that was more around the well itself, where you have spillage and
Mhm.
underground seepage. I mean, Harwood's famous for water coming up everywhere, as we all know.
Very high water table
And,
for sure.
and I'm sure when you mentioned Tim, I'm sure Tim will take the opportunity to emphasize the importance of drainage and stone below. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
For your presentation.
Thank you all.
Prepared motion. It's a presentation by Jay Chanton, Harwood Memorial Park and Recreational Club on November 12th, 2024 regarding the 2025 grant funding request be received for information. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Mark, seconded by John. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. 5.3 on our agenda. We have Mike Gibson and Kaylee McElmoy regarding Community Care Northumberland Community Grant. Please, the microphone's yours. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor and councilors, for having us here today. We just want to touch on a few things. I think most of you are familiar with community care and what we're doing in the community. We just want to touch a bit more on our transportation side of it. We were designed to be affordable, safe, and sustainable. And we started the program because there was a great need to provide transportation for people with disabilities. I can flick this here, I guess. Yeah, so we have several different things going on in community care, and we have a lot of different things with meals and wellness, in-home support, and again, come back to our transportation. We have specialized transportation. We have, which is basically our accessible vans, and we have 8 of those. We have 5 situated in Cobourg, and we have 3 in Trent Hills, Campbellford. And most of that is to supply transportation for people with special needs and mobility issues. And our rural transit operates like a rural bus system and provides transportation for individuals of all ages, all different, with disability, without disabilities. And we do that for mostly bringing people into town in place for shopping. And we run through, on Wednesday and Thursdays, we're running through Hamilton Township. Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays, we're running, it's called a central route through other parts of the county. And then we have our newest services called our stretcher transfer transportation. And that's allowing us to take people in on stretchers. We, a little bit weird because we're walking in places, houses with 2 old guys in a van. I think a couple of paramedics are coming with a stretcher, but we do get by, and with the help of families, we've taken a lot of people to Ed's house. I've taken over 100 stretchers in the last 2 years. I'd say a majority of them went to Ed's house. And what this has done is give the families, we can do a stretcher for, I think our minimum charge for stretcher $75, where Voyago would be probably $250 for the minimum charge. So we were able to help, and with the support of Ed's house working with us and being able to store the stretcher, the linens, and do the laundry, we were able to make a big difference for a lot of families when we brought on the stretcher component to our transportation. This is some of the things that maybe not all of you know, and it's not all about transportation, but our Meals on Wheels that we've delivered. The home and maintenance thing we do for clients, just different classes we put on for different people. The volunteer transportation that we have, which is huge. The Home at Last program, which takes people home from the hospital setting back to their home for no fee to the client. And then, of course, all the residents that went to Ed's house over the last, since it's opened, helping with transportation there. To get involved with community care, you can be self-referral. You can refer by a family or a friend, a doctor or primary care provider for Ed's house. Fees. Some of our fees are basically a normal transportation, accessible transportation fee within the local area would be $20. We have our Western route that we're running in Hamilton Township on Wednesdays and Thursdays, which we only charge $5 for a one-way drive into Cobourg or Port Hope. And obviously return would be like $10 return. If a person was in a wheelchair and lived in Cold Springs and wanted to go to Peterborough Hospital, for an hour-long appointment, we would charge them $58 for that trip to and from Peterborough, to and back. We've applied for an OTIF grant, a transportation grant that we're hoping to get in the next year or so, and that's going to open up our Western Road in Hamilton Township. That we're basically running on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We're hoping to run it 5 days a week. What that does is get the $5 rise for people, make it so much easier and better. I was looking last, just because I like to concern myself with Hamilton Township. I've sat on your accessibility committee, and I know the people sitting there like to know, well, what are you doing for Hamilton Town? How many people did you drive last week in Hamilton Township, for instance? So last week alone, we had 20 regular clients from Hamilton Township that we drove in our accessible vehicles. We took them to places like the community living. There's a VON adult center. There's an Alzheimer's program that we take them to. There's a rehab center we had taken a client to. We brought some in for grocery shopping. We have 3 dialysis clients in Hamilton Township that we have to take 3 days a week, twice a day for their dialysis. Of course, we've taken several people to Ed's house in the last week or so too. These numbers don't include the many volunteer drives that take place, the meals that got delivered, or the many programs that Community Care puts on that maybe some of your residents went to in the last week. But basically, kind of gives you an overview of what our transportation is doing. And Kaylee's our scheduler, so she schedules out of the Camelford office, but it basically is all county-wide. So we're if you have a question about the schedule or fees, then Kaylee is probably the person to talk to. And I'm also one of the drivers, so it's fortunate for me that I get a chance to see what difference we make in people's lives when they get in the van, and we realize that, you know, there are people getting in our vans that could probably buy all our vans, but there's people getting in our vans that can't afford to put air in the tires. So the fact that we're able to help each side of the coin is kind of nice. And it's certainly self-rewarding for most of our drivers are semi-retired. So most of them, it's just a matter of being able to go out there and help people, and they get a little bit of money on the side to do it also. So it's a win-win. But thank you for allowing us to be here today.
Thank you for your presentation. Questions, comments? Larry?
When I hear this, I gotta say, it's a wonderful service that you're providing our community. You know, and a lot of times we miss these kinds of things. We have all these social agencies working around, but you're doing a tremendous job for us, and we really appreciate it. What in total are you asking for again?
I think, I'm not sure whether this was just a funding thing or the gas tax that we actually work with the different municipalities for the gas tax. So I wasn't sure. Bobby Joe, our manager, had another meeting to go to, or some other things she had to be at today. So I thought we would come and help.
That is information that we can get from our treasurer,
Yeah.
either now or later, whichever's convenient.
To you, Mr. Mayor, they're requesting $9,000.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you again for the service you're providing our residents. It's phenomenal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything, Mark, John, Mark?
I'm just going to kind of echo on Larry's comments. I can remember when this first started and you kind of wonder, wow, is this something that will it ever take off? But now it's a necessity. So, I mean, it's wonderful, the job you do, and a lot of people rely on it. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
John?
Just like to say thank you for your presentation. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a win-win situation. Thank you for your service.
Nice job.
Yeah, I can't add to that. I can echo that, but I can't add to that. The only thing that maybe you left out, Mike, is that you are a former resident of Hamilton Township, not far from where we're sitting right
Oh,
now, as
that's
we
right.
all know. And again, thank you from all of us, including our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, prepared motion that the presentation by Community Care Northumberland on November 12th, 2024 regarding the 2025 grant funding request be received for information. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by John, seconded by Mark. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. 5.4, Ed's house. Sherry Gibson. The microphone's yours. And
Thank you.
Jerry also lived very close to where we're
Yeah.
sitting right now.
So just full disclosure, Mike is my husband. We do both work for Community Care Northumberland. And I just want to tell you up front, you know, transportation is in client services. Ed's house is hospice services. We both work for the same organizations, but sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. And I apologize that we've had back-to-back presentations and requests from Hamilton Township. I know that money is tight, and I would say that Transportation is a very essential program within Hamilton Township. And if you have any consideration for how you're spreading the money, I would be happy for it to go to the transportation program. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're trying to accomplish at Ed's House. Maybe this is more of an education for you than anything. We can slip through to the next slide because you've heard a lot of this. So we opened in September 2020, as you're well aware, and we've focused a lot on what we've been able to accomplish from the inside. We've made Ed's House a welcoming, supportive environment for people at the end of life. And we have about 150 people that choose to have end of life care at Ed's House. We support another 300 or so out in the community, and that's throughout Northumberland County. But that is for things like when you've been diagnosed with a life-limiting illness, you'll be spending a lot of time thinking about advanced care planning, how you're going to manage your illness, and our staff walk you through that. So because we've spent a number of years focusing on the interior of Ed's House, and we're very pleased with that environment, we've turned this past year to looking at what the outside of our place looks like. And it is a first impression. It is a place on our grounds where people can leave the building. They can regroup and recharge if they've had somebody that they're visiting. And it's a lovely outdoor space. It's as you're aware, in the middle of some open fields, and we get lots of wildlife through. So we were able to hire a therapeutic gardener coordinator this past year, and she's made a huge difference to the way that our flower beds and our gardens and our lawn have looked. So we've used volunteers to manage our gardens in the past. It's consisted of pulling up some weeds. Lori has been able to manage those grounds and really make everything bloom. So it's sort of a whole person therapeutic touch when you go outside. And what we're looking at now, it's a 5-year plan. Our next phase will be year 2. We will, one of the things that I had centered my presentation around was a cut flower garden. So volunteers, visitors, staff will go out, be able to cut flowers out of our own garden and bring them in and distribute them to our residents. We're probably a little bit behind there, and I'm talking and I'm not really going by. Am I hitting it the right way? Mike, how'd you do that so easy? There we go. It'll run through them all now. So year 1, we were able to, if you see there's some wooden structures put up outside. One of the things that we've done is put a wind garden in. We were able to also this year, closer to Ontario Street, put up some smoking structures. So that's what I'm here today really, maybe more than anything, is to give you an update on where we're at. If you feel so inclined that you can support a wee part of our project, that would be fantastic. We're looking at, utilizing what we've got there and some water resources right on the property through a harvesting tank. So I would be happy to answer any questions that you've got about what's going on. I'd also I'd like to remind you that all services at Ed's House are free of charge. There's no cost, whether it's end of life or whether it's support in the community. It is provided at no cost. We do get some funding through the province, through the Ministry of Health. And then the remainder of what we need to operate is made up through, fundraising and donations that we've got a department for.
Thank you, Sherry. I'll just say that I've had many conversations about Ed's house. And each and every one of them has been so positive. It's a service, it's a function that unfortunately we all can need. And the level of service that's being provided is appreciated by everyone who has any contact with it. So thank you to
Yeah.
you and everyone there.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're happy to be in Hamilton Township.
Questions from council or comments? John?
Just a comment. Just thank you very much for your presentation. I can't say enough about Ed's house. I know that I have been there numerous times through family members and friends. And it's very unfortunate that they did pass, but they had the best care and the best, I just can't say enough about it. The words just escape me right now, but the one word I must ask is, how much are you asking for your first year?
Yeah, we had, so we've completed year one. The garden project was a 5-year project. And we have been able to, this past year, get some grants to offset the costs. Next year, we were looking for $3,500. But I'm more than happy to have your support, your emotional support, and the support of council and residents. And I can appreciate, because I've sat in your chairs, how difficult it is at budget time. And as I started my presentation, I want to apologize for having back-to-back asks from the same organization. And I think, the value for your money at this point is, within our transportation program for Community Care Northumberland. I don't want to say don't provide a grant for the garden, but we've been very fortunate with community support. And again, more than anything, I just, we really value the support of council, and you've been fantastic. It felt like about 6 or 7 years ago, I was here a lot in front of council as we were planning the build. But we do appreciate everything you've done. So $3,500, but I do not want to be greedy.
Sherry, your forthright nature is coming out loud and clear. We do appreciate that at this table.
Just
This horseshoe.
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to go back to Ed's house and they're going to not be happy with my honesty.
just to follow up.
Please, John.
Have you approached any of the nurseries in Hamilton Township?
Mm-hmm. We do work very closely with Baltimore Valley, and we have had a lot of volunteer support through the Master Gardeners of Northumberland. We haven't Cold Springs Bulbs, Kelsey Jibb. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Kelsey,
Not even me.
Cold Springs Flowers? McBride, sorry, thank you. Was she a Jibb, or is she on Jibb Road, or? Yeah, she was a Jibb. Okay. She has donated, she just donated 250 bulbs to us, which will supplement the garden for sure. But I am the director at Ed's house. I am responsible for the overall operation, revenue and expenses, but more than anything, what we value, we always know we will be running at a deficit, and I've got some great support for that. But again, we just value everything that the community has done for us.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
I guess I'm going to have to turn to Rosemary and say afterwards, you'll have to educate me who this other person is with the same last name. Okay, prepared motion that the presentation by Sherry Gibson for Hidds House Northumberland Hospice Care Center on November 12th, 2024 regarding the 2025 grant funding request be received for information. Do I have a mover? Moved by Larry, seconded by John. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to 5.5 on our agenda, Pam Graham, Baltimore Public School. Pam, please come forward. And I only have one name here in front of me, so please introduce yourselves.
First of all, thank you, Mayor Jibb and members of our council for your time and consideration today. We appreciate being given the opportunity to present. My name is Pam Graham, and I am a community member and a volunteer that forms part of our student council representing Baltimore Public School.
And I'm Renee Cameron, the principal at Baltimore. I'm very fortunate that I can bike to work. I love being able to live in the community and work here as well. Baltimore is a kindergarten through grade 6 school, and this year we have 256 students.
School council is a forum where parents, the principal, teachers, and other members of the community come together to discuss issues and plan ways to improve student achievement and performance. Ultimately, this makes for a better school within our community. The Ministry of Education provides school councils with guidelines about our roles and responsibilities. One important guideline is that all funds raised by school council are used to complement but not replace public funding for education.
So if you're wondering, our school budget this year is $27,000 is what I have to run everything for the year.
As a parent, I got involved in school council to make a difference, and since joining, I have learned a lot. Simply put, the more funds we raise, the more good we can do. All the funds we use to operate are raised through fundraising initiatives. We do not receive any funds from the Ministry of Education, our school board, or the school itself. Under the guidelines, it states what school council is permitted to use fundraising proceeds towards. School council supports multiple needs within the school, and some examples include covering the costs for school excursions, reducing busing costs, paying for those spiffy team jerseys, and student awards. The guidelines are very clear that school council cannot fund anything that the government is already providing funding for. Before joining council, I did not realize there were certain things that our public education system did not fund, specifically playgrounds. And I believe this is still a big misconception today. Through our current fundraising methods, our small community has not been able to generate enough funding to replace the playground. And equipment continues to be removed as it's become broken, deemed unsafe, or does not meet current playground standards. As equipment expires, we have not been able to replace it with more expensive, accessible designs due to the lack of funds. I can't help but hope that there's a better solution available for the larger financial demands of playgrounds that our small school community faces. So this is why we're here today. We are looking for our township for financial support and be a partner in improving our community. Playgrounds are our largest financial demand, and school council is working towards replacing 2 of them. Once replaced, this investment will last 15 to 20 years, possibly more. The majority of the equipment at Baltimore Public School is over 30 years old.
So replacing these structures will immediately benefit the students and families of Baltimore Public School. Additionally, we'd like you to consider having your Parks and Rec Committee consider completion of contracts with the schools in our community for community use of contracts. And so we'll explain that a little more in our presentation. But that would enable, and a contract will be a partnership between us and you, or the schools in your area that you deem as part of your community recreation. And that way, when school is not in session, everyone would have access to this equipment. Currently, our signs in the playground were updated. So if school is closed, our signs do say use at own risk. It's not supervised at that time. So we're looking to have a strategic partnership with the Township of Hamilton beyond a contribution towards a playground. So we hope that you will look at the schools as part of your Parks and Recreation. This also aligns with one of the goals outlined on page 9 of the Hamilton Township, Hamilton Strategic Plan to pursue partnerships with community members such as us.
The Township of Hamilton's vision is making life better every day by creating a vibrant and sustainable township we are all proud to call home. In addition to the township's goals to pursue strategic partnerships, what we are trying to do here aligns in many ways with the township's priorities. First, schools are classified as a residential service under the Township of Hamilton's website. With the township's support, we can improve the schoolyard, and investments in playground equipment will play a significant role in improving a vital service to our youngest community members. Next, schools are where we educate our children. A school is a place to come together, to work, to learn, to volunteer, and as such, they are the heart of a community. It's difficult to think about a community without thinking about its schools. A school playground is more than just a place to unwind or blow off steam. Playgrounds are a vital part of a student's development. It has been recognized by medical professionals and human rights advocates around the world as essential to a kid's overall health and well-being. Important learning takes place both in classrooms and on playgrounds. Sadly, our school board does not receive funding from the province that is specific to maintaining or developing the outdoor infrastructure. As a result, this area is left to the sole responsibility of school councils to develop, and we are looking to our township for support. Our school deserves to have new equipment that can provide a level of safety and accessibility the current school equipment does not provide. One of the most important but often overlooked learning space at any school is its playground. While these examples are limited, it's not unprecedented that school council can receive support from a municipality. Last April, we became aware of another school within the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board that was successful in receiving municipality support. Brighton Council approved a request from Smithfield School Council for 2 new play structures. Similar to our situation, their playground equipment at the school had reached the end of its life, and school council has been responsible for raising all the funds. Our overall playground revitalization project is a multi-phase project, with phase 1 already complete. We have raised $9,000 towards phase 2, which is only 30% of our goal towards the junior equipment. The $10,000 requested from the township grant would bring us up to 63% of our goal. The remaining $11,000 we plan to raise this year through fundraising and community donations. Building strong communities is the responsibility of everyone, and I hope I have outlined today how our goals and priorities are aligned. I understand that the township provides funding towards school boards for education, but as I've stated here today, school council receives no funding from the Ministry of Education, school board, or the school itself, and there is no funding for playgrounds from anywhere else. As such, we are required to raise all proceeds through fundraising efforts. Every contribution we make towards the school complements and does not replace public funding for education. I hope our township will recognize the need and benefit of helping us achieve our goal. This project will help our youngest residents academically, mentally, physically, while improving and developing our community and making life better. Thank you again for your time, and we look forward to answering any questions you have.
Thank you, ladies. Last year, I believe, was the first year that I came to the realization, or maybe majority of us came to the realization that school board did not fund exterior playground equipment. I had a problem with it then, and I still have a problem with it this year, and will until that changes. Thank you for your presentation. I'll go to council members. Any questions or comments? Mark, please.
I'll just say I've sat here a number of years, and I don't think I've ever been more disappointed knowing that our kids are not getting the playgrounds or the ball diamonds and so forth on school property to go out and play. It is really, really sad. And I had no idea that it would come down to this, that you're actually really going to struggle to get funds to do this. It is sad, really sad. And I'm sorry to see, sit here and have to actually listen to it and maybe not even be able to help in a whole lot because we haven't got a lot of funds ourselves. So it's really unfortunate.
I'll follow up with that. Some of us, many of us have opportunities to be sitting beside or standing beside our provincial and federal, and in this case, provincial counterparts. I think we should have this in the back of our head and have some conversations sometimes. John, what questions or comments?
Thanks for the presentation and I know it's a worthwhile cause. And good luck with your fundraising.
Thank you, John. Larry, questions, comments?
Best presentation I've seen yet. Well done. Yeah, I sort of mirror what everybody else has said, but it's it's a problem because we've got our own playgrounds, and we're trying to renovate those and rehabilitate them, and we're going after grants ourselves because there's no funding that we've got within our own budgets. It's an enigma. And we'll think about it a little deeper. But thank you for your presentation. Understand totally.
Well, thank you very much for considering that. With the example that we gave in Brighton, that was a Trillium grant that they applied for. So they did look at the playgrounds in the community. And so as a team, that's how that one happened.
Yeah, please, Larry.
Sorry, could I just ask a question on that? So what you're saying is that the playground grant that they got through OTF, the Ontario Children's Foundation, they partnered with the township or the municipality
That's right.
through their Parks and Recreation.
That's right. Yeah. So without that, schools can apply for that grant, but when we form a partnership, it opens up other grants. So we actually have a committee where we look at grants weekly, everything you can imagine that the province offers. We're looking at that. And so we're limited because we're a school. But if we have that partnership, then schools can suddenly apply for more grants.
Is it, maybe we should be doing that with our committee, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. Jay Chatton's the chair of that. So maybe you can take that forward and maybe get some more information from the school to move that forward. So that's a good idea. It's a good idea. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. Again, prepared motion to the presentation by Baltimore Public School on November 12th, 2024 regarding the 2025 grant funding request be received for information. Mover, John, seconder, Mark, all those in favor, carried. Thank you. Item 5.6 on our agenda, Bethlehem Walk grant application. Rosemary. And we should acknowledge Betty Marie here as well with Rosemary.
My support group.
Thanks for being with us, ladies.
Okay.
Betty Marie, you've lived really close for a lot of years and you're acknowledging this is your first council meeting? Wow.
Okay, I was going to say that I too am a graduate of Camborne School and I was attending Glororm, which is further up Kennedy Road prior to that. And I moved to the new school in grade 2. So I think I'm older than you guys.
I was thinking you might have gone to old Camborne School, but no.
No, Glororm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, my name is Rosemary Jameson. And I'm here speaking on behalf of the Bethlehem Walk. And could you do the slides for me? Thank you. I'll put our request right up front. It's for $2,500. And as you know, we have been approved for in-kind funding in the past. Our organization is not for profit. We put on a free event and it's totally volunteer run. Next year, the walk, as always, is on the third weekend in November, and that will be the 15th and 16th next year, from 5 till 8. Target audience are families, all age groups and abilities, and up to 1,000 visitors. Our mandate is to provide a free community event representing the walk of Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem. And with that, we provide a welcoming and inclusive community event We try to be as frugal as possible. A big item for us is ensuring the safety of volunteers and attendees. We run the event using a core group of volunteers as leads for each of the aspects of the event and involve as many people as possible. And of course, make the event free for all attendees. The breakdown, the volunteers, about 95% are actually from the township. And we have a large extended group of volunteers from their friends and families and neighbors. And range, usually there's no one younger than 4 participating. And we have had, of course, the over the 90-year-olds. A lot of you know Albert Willis, and he's not helping anymore, but he still attends. Last year we had 110 volunteers and recorded hours of over 660, but we know there's a lot more hours than that going into this. The project itself, we take visitors through a bunch of outdoor stations representing that walk to Bethlehem. They start inside the hall. There's some local musicians provide entertainment. Then they're taken outside with a guide. They can do the walk and then have a hayride if they'd like to. And then we encourage them to come back for hot chocolate and cookies in the lower level. And if they're not able to walk, we have golf carts provided. For the grant itself, now I think this has changed based on our conversations over the last few weeks. In the past, we've had the in-kind grant, and that was for the hall and the park. Support from the township staff as we've needed it. And then fire services. And I understand this year, support for the police services has actually moved up a level. And so we had a bit of a gap this year. So instead of dealing with the Hamilton Township Police Services Board, we're now dealing with the Northumberland Police Services Board. So there wasn't a mechanism in there to cover off police services. So we can talk a little bit about that. If there's additional monies, we wouldn't use it towards insurance. Insurance is costing us over $1,300 a year, and that's the minimum because of, just event coverage. Other expenses that we have are maintenance of the walk buildings and costume refurbishment. Benefits. It's an opportunity for friends and families to get together, especially post-COVID. It's a free social event. It's accessible to all people. It's a way to enjoy the Cold Springs Hall and Park facilities in a, colder part of the year. And we get a gathering of volunteers from a pretty wide community. The measures of success, we have had to rebuild our volunteers after COVID. Kids aged out, they've gone off to university and are working, so we've rebuilt there. And this year we have lots of willing volunteers. We're back to a status quo again. We can see that joy on the faces of people when they come through that walk, and the volunteers are just happy to be there. So it's a really good positive event. And of course, we count how many attendees come through, and also we track, where they've come from, and we've listed all the various places there. And every year we're surprised. It runs around 30% of people who've never been there before, and we've been running since 2003. So it's surprising. The next slide, I've just included, what our financials and the walk has looked like since 2017. And you'll see that we were running really clearly in the green or the black up until COVID. And through COVID, we still had to pay the insurance, and that depleted our funds significantly. And then the first year back after COVID, there was a blizzard for 2 nights. We had whiteouts, and still 300 people came. So we knew that it was still going to be popular. Last year, we doubled that. We were over 700 people, and I'm expecting more this year. we've gradually been rebuilding the stations, and I think we just have 2 more to rebuild next year, and everything's back up to a good sustainable level again. On that sheet, I also listed how many attendees we've got, so you can see that rebuilding and what the insurance impact has been to the funds that we bring in. The next slide shows the non-monetary donations, which are significant. Everything from the generators through the porta potties, the tractor, the musicians, and then the things that the township has been providing in the past, which are the road services, the pylons, OPP, fire services, and of course, the staff support. The next slide just shows our alignment to the township strategic priorities in community, having a strategic partnership with nonprofit and supporting the use of recreational facilities like the hall and the park. And the last slide is just our thank you for having us here today, and a copy of the poster for this year's walk, which is this coming weekend. So, any questions?
Thank you, Rosemary. Questions, Mark?
I'll just say it's a great event. I've been to it a few times, not every year by any means, but 3 or 4 times anyway. Quick question, what are you looking for funding then? Just so I'm clear for this year.
Well, okay, this was before we had all of the discussion around police services and that responsibility. And I was asking for $2,500.
So that would be for this year's event, for next year,
2025.
2025's event.
Yes.
But you're short this year, or did you overcome that?
I think we have overcome it, except for $143.
Okay.
Okay, and that is with the township $1,000 grant support, the fire services providing volunteer services. And the money that was left over is enough to almost cover the police services.
Thank you.
John, Larry? Yeah, John.
Thank you for your presentation. It's nice to put a face to a name. So
Sure.
I know we've had some communication and emails and whatever, and I must apologize again, but our association has taken on the aspect of moving forward and approaching the province to have changes made within the Community Safety Policing Act to help organizations such as yourself to move forward with that and getting the money back through action reports and et cetera, and distributing that money out through the public in the various communities. So hopefully that'll move forward before next year and we can assist you in that way. Okay, and I'll let you know if it does go forward.
Okay, and so just to clarify, I'm not sure if this request also covers the police services or not, or is that something that I would need to ask separately?
I think that's something you need to ask separately. That's your responsibility. As for the board, we don't have our bylaws in place yet. We don't have any policy and procedures, so therefore we have to move forward as the province dictates that you shall move forward with certain aspects of the Community Safety Policing Act. So we're not quite there yet. So it's going to be your responsibility to take on the policing end of it and try and negotiate that through the detachment commander, or whoever you're speaking with.
Okay, so I'm talking about next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if everything goes the way I'm hoping it'll go, you could probably come to the board and ask for assistance. The Police Service Board itself, which is Northumberland Policing Service.
Oh, okay, so I guess I'm still confused. So the 2,500 I'm requesting, you being here, is that inclusive of the Police Services Board portion?
Maybe we don't need to answer this today. Maybe this is a good conversation that our staff and yourself, Rosemary, can have. Maybe it doesn't even need to be in person, but maybe we can think through this and fine tune what the exact position is. I know Nezrat has been involved with this and should have some good answers. And Nezrat, are you in the office the rest of the week, or maybe one of you can reach out to the other.
Okay,
We got that arranged, I think, for follow up on that.
okay.
John, we were with you. Larry, did you have a question or comment?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Rosemary,
And
and
thank you for the support that we received in prior years and the help I received this year at figuring out how we're going to handle the grant that had been approved.
we're, to my knowledge, there's no closed session, so we're about to end our meeting. So, yeah, so if the two of you would just hesitate for a little bit after the meeting, I would enjoy a conversation. Okay, so our next order of business is the prepared motion that the presentation by Rosemary Jemison, Bethlehem Walk Committee on November 12th, 2024 regarding the 2025 grant funding request be received for information. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Mark, second by Larry. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. There is no closed session, so there's an adjournment and prepared motion that the committee of the whole meeting held on November 12th, 2024 be adjourned at 2:13 p.m. Do I have a mover? Moved by Mark. Seconder. John. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. And we'll just take a moment as we get offline and our